Welcome to the Aevidum Podcast. I'm Francesca Pileggi, Aevidum's Executive Director, and I'll be your host for this season of the podcast. In this episode, we're going to explore how artistic expression can become a lifeline for mental health. You'll hear from Alena, a high school senior who reflects on her journey with dance and explains how movement has helped her manage anxiety, build confidence, and find connection through performance. You'll also meet Kristin Ransom, a board-certified music therapist at Lancaster Behavioral Health Hospital, who shares how expressive arts use creativity, collaboration, and self-awareness to support healing. Together, they uncover the ways dance, music, and other creative outlets give us space to express emotions, strengthen community, and discover joy in simply creating. Whether you're a seasoned artist or you're just curious about trying something new, this conversation will encourage you to embrace creativity as a powerful tool for personal growth and wellness. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Aevidum Podcast. We're really excited to be here with our second season of the podcast. And today we have two amazing guests. We're going to be talking a little bit about how you can use expressive forms of art to help cope and live with your mental health. So our two guests today are Alena and Kristin. I'm just going to let them introduce themselves real quick, and then we'll get into our conversation. Alena, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Alena. I'm a senior at Penn Manor. I've been dancing for 14 years, and this is my 6th year dancing competitively.
My name's Kristin Ransom. I'm the Expressive Arts Manager at Lancaster Behavioral Health Hospital. I'm a board-certified music therapist. I've been practicing in that field for about 10 years, and I've been here at Lancaster for about 2 of those.
Awesome. Thank you guys both so much for being here. So, Alena, I wanted to start with you. Obviously, dance has been a huge part of your life. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started? What kind of has made this such a passion for you? And then how does it fuel or connect with your mental health journey?
I started dancing really young. My mom put me in classes. I was always the kid with like really big feelings. I was really emotional, really opinionated. So I just loved being on stage because I could just showcase my emotions and be super expressive. Around middle school is when I really started to like focus on dance as like a mental health outlet. I was struggling with my own mental health, and I was really able to use my feelings and my problems and passions to tell the story that my dance teachers envisioned. And that was kind of when I started to discover dance as like in a new way.
That's awesome. Yeah. Can you tell us like a little bit about like specifically what about dance allows it to be like an outlet for you? Like, have you ever gone through like a tough time and really seen dance kind of transform that experience for you?
So for me, I've struggled with major anxiety for my whole life. Dancing really helped me, not because of the actual movement, but it really built a community around me, and I felt like I could like turn to people if I needed help or yeah, all of that. Um, and really when I'm performing, I just feel this lightness in my head and my body. It's exhilarating and relaxing at the same time. It just kind of clears my head. I'm not really thinking about all the anxiety in my mind. Like, I'm just kind of focused on what I'm doing. And when I step off stage, it's just kind of like I take a deep breath, and it's like, it's really amazing to clear my head and help me focus on the other things and not my anxiety.
That sounds amazing.
Alena, you have so much more self-awareness than so many people your age. I'm reflecting on that same feeling when you're performing. That's the whole reason why I went into my undergrad with voice performance, because when I was 16, 17, all I knew is that I really liked collaborating with people and performing with people. And it's not until way further down the line that I was able to identify how it was helping my mental health. You know, in freshman, sophomore year of high school, like so many adolescents do, I was struggling a little bit with anxiety, with depression, just a lot of feelings that I didn't have words for, like you're saying. And being able to perform and collaborate with other people in such a way can be so, so filling. And I'm really happy that you actually have the words to be able to describe what it does for you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's like a layer of this that I hadn't really thought about a lot was that not only is it something that's good for you individually and you're being fueled with these feelings, but also there's like layers of connection that are built in many, I feel like, artistic avenues and outlets that are also really protective factors for mental health, right? Like when you're a part of a dance studio, I imagine those relationships can be really nurturing. Or like you're saying, Kristin, like when you're performing vocally with people, those connections build. Kristin, jumping off of that, would you tell us like a little bit about like what your role is and sort of how you've shared a little bit, but how you got into this area?
Absolutely. So when I was Elena's age, all I knew is that I really liked singing. I really liked performing. I liked collaborating. And I was actually looking at whether I wanted to go to school for music or whether I wanted to go to school for psychology, not knowing that there was an option to combine them. So at that time, my local schools didn't have music therapy programs, and I just wasn't aware that it was a career choice. And I think I would have started off as a music therapist way earlier. I actually have an undergrad in voice performance, and I was a music ed major for a little while. I decided I really didn't want to teach, and I would rather just try my hand at some of the performance side, and kind of found a music therapy program while I was working after graduation. Um, the beautiful thing about music therapy is that our bodies and our existence is very rhythmic. And Alena, I'm sure, are very aware of this being a dancer, right? That's a very, very physical interaction that you have with natural patterns of walking, breathing. Our pulse is a cycle. Our pulse is a beat, a steady beat, and being able to use something that's very inherent to us as humans therapeutically with people, and kind of unlocking and reminding people that making music is a very natural thing and creating music is a very natural thing once you kind of allow yourself to be a beginner and stop judging yourself for making a mistake or potentially making something that sounds a little funny. So here at this building, we do a lot of groups, and being able to engage creatively in a group is really scary for a lot of people. And it goes back to that part of letting yourself be a beginner and not allowing yourself to overthink every single move and every single action that you make, and saying, this might turn out to be, quote, ugly, or this might sound kind of funny, or it might look weird, but it felt good to do it.
Jumping off that, there's a lot of people that I've talked to about dancing and stuff, and they're like, oh, like, I love to do dance, but I'm just so nervous to be on stage.
Mm.
But the advice I would have for them is just to let go. I mean, it takes a while, but you have to just decide to do it for yourself and not for showing anyone else what you can do, and just like let yourself do your thing and just let go.
Yeah, it's that difference between looking good and feeling good, right? Sometimes it can look good and it can feel good at the same time, but there's a huge difference between what we call the product oriented, which is like in your situation, Alena, that might be a very heavily choreographed and practiced dance, right? There's a product that you're trying to get to, and that's the goal, is the product. And then there's the process oriented, which might be some contact improv, or it might be just some playing and exploring. The act of choreographing that dance would be the process. The same thing for making music. You can try to make something that sounds beautiful, that's notated, and that will be recorded, but it's really the process behind creating that that can be more transformational.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think about like for me, dancing on stage sounds like horrifying, but I think that's what's so cool about this outlet is that it's really individual to each person. So, like while Alena thrives on dance, somebody else might choose an avenue of artistic expression that's more private or individual. So it's really about like I like what you guys are saying, encouraging people to try these different things, not be so worried about failing at them, just trying them on, seeing if they feel good.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, one question I have for you is I think probably many people listening to this at some point have experienced like a session with a counselor of more traditional therapy. So, what does music therapy or art therapy really look like? Since you might be more just used to one-on-one talking, how do you
Mhm.
sort of bring in this artistic element into a therapeutic setting?
Yeah, the really annoying answer is that it's so dependent on the person, the need, the setting. So I'll just use the example of, let's say I have an individual who is maybe 13, 14, who is experiencing a lot of anxiety, who doesn't want to open up through speech, but has a creative background and has interest in some music making. We might not talk. We might not make any sort of verbal conversation at first. I have a highly improvisational style, which means you're going to come in with something and I'm going to say, okay, how can we create a session out of that? I do have what I'll call back pocket experiences where these are my 10 interventions that could possibly work in this setting. But a lot of times it goes back to the music and it goes to creating something together. So an example of one of my favorite interventions would be identifying your current state of emotion or your current tension level using an instrument that's available in the room. And that can be a challenge for some people because I don't know that many people equate their emotions with sounds and with timbres and with textures and things like that. But that can be a really nice way to open up the conversation. And then you can move into, I love piano improvisation. I think you can sit at a piano, even if someone has never ever played piano before in their life. We all have a certain amount of fingers, and if you distill them to 2 fingers, say one pointer finger on the left hand, one pointer finger on the right hand, and just see where your fingers want to walk to on the keyboard, we can make an entire hour-long session out of that exploration.
That's awesome. So I love that really this is something that anybody could approach regardless
Mhm.
of their years of experience. And like Alena, it sounds like, there was a time where you were very new to dance, and you just stuck with it and now you're competing in all these things. But do you feel like some of the core things that you still benefit from dance, were they there right at the beginning? And could you make that connection that like this was fulfilling for you in a way?
Yeah, I feel like when I first started, I would come home from dance and tell my mom, like, that was so fun. Like, I feel so, like, happy and everything. And she just knew how much I loved it. Um, yeah, the whole time, my passions never really faltered from it. I've always, like, had this sense of just loving being on stage and, like, the feeling I get from it.
That's amazing. And have you channeled that into like other outlets beyond dance at all?
Yeah, I feel like dancing and like being like a performer has really helped like with talking with other people, like not only just like the public speaking aspect, but like at work I'm like training new hires, I'm helping them get acquainted. I'm just kind of like able to put myself out there, I feel like, because I'm so used to like being on stage, being in front of people. And I feel like that's really helped not with my public speaking too, like giving speeches for like NHS or that kind of stuff. I feel like it can really help give that kind of lightness when I'm in front of people.
Sure, yeah. Oh, it sounds like it has a lot of great benefits. And I've been thinking like you're a great member of our youth advisory board, and the way you contribute with that is really meaningful. So I think finding something that speaks to your soul, I guess, is what we're really talking about. Whether like Kristin, for you, it was music, Alena, dance. What would be some other, I know I can think of like art outlets like painting, drawing. Are there other like more creative ones I'm not thinking of that some people find useful to express themselves?
I think that the limitation of what is considered art is really our own self-confidence.
Yeah.
There are some people out there who their art is their cooking,
Oh my
and
gosh,
they can
yes.
make they can curate these beautiful recipes and then they plate it and it's lovely, and their joy is sharing that with their family or their partner, or even just sharing a picture online and saying, this is what I create, and being so proud of that. There are some people who their art could be architecture. Their creative outlet could be website design, something that I am terrible at and never want to have anything to do with because it's very difficult. But whatever a person considers to be creative is really whatever fills them in their own existence. And a lot of times, we talk about kind of these limiting beliefs of art is for galleries and art is for the stage or art is for the concert hall. Art could be in the middle of the woods in a riverbank if you really want it to be. It doesn't have to be as structured as, quote, fine art. And just if you have joy in experiencing it, that is creativity and that is your form of artwork.
I love that. Yeah. So, can you guys both tell me what would you say to somebody who might be listening who's like, hey, I haven't really, I might be going through a difficult time. I haven't really tried anything artistic as an outlet. I don't see myself as good at art. How would you help them to sort of jump in and try? Do you have any words of encouragement for them?
I feel like for me, definitely before like what I said, just let go and do it. It's gonna fulfill you and you just gotta do it. And I also wish that more people would understand that kind of dance is really a nonverbal language. So you can really tell anything when you're dancing it. Like if you're angry, you can show your anger. If you're full of joy, you can show that. If you're frustrated, anything, you can show that. And it's really, really fulfilling to be able to like tell a story without actually speaking words.
Hmm. I think it talks about the idea of going outside your comfort zone, is really a good way to start. If you are interested in something, there's probably some sort of free class or there's probably some sort of exhibit. For example, community events, like a drum circle, right? You can go and you can sit and you can observe the whole time, or you can jump in and join. There are a lot of different, depending on where you are geographically, of course. But there are free classes, there are free meetups, there are free presentations where you can just go and try something at very, very, very low stakes. One of my favorite things to say is we all know those pottery studios, right? Where they have
Yeah.
pre-created plates or mugs or something, and you just have to go paint it and paint within the lines or do whatever you want to. There's no wrong answer with doing that. If you want to explore whether or not you enjoy certain modalities, there's probably an opportunity to do it for free or for a very low cost somewhere, that the stakes are really, really low.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that idea that like just jump in, just try it, and right, don't if you're worried about it, you don't have to spend $1 million taking a
Hmm.
high level class. Just try something, bring a friend,
Hmm.
and start exploring. So I think
That,
that that's great. I'm thinking back to like Avidum's message of I've got your back. Do you guys have any like ways that you really see expressive arts like tying into that feeling of community, and that feeling of like supporting each other that we're hoping to embody?
absolutely. Go ahead, Alena.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I feel like my studio has brought me my closest friends. There's so many like the relationships there. I'm just gonna cherish them forever. Like I've met my people, and I feel like that's really important when you're able to, if you're having a rough time, I have this community that I can talk to. And my teachers too, like my dance teachers, I can easily go talk to them if there's something that I am struggling with. So I have this group of friends, group of teachers that, and we're all kind of brought together and we're all just this big community, whenever we're at the studio and outside of it too, where we all just love each other and care about each other so much.
It sounds like there's a lot of trust in that group of people, Elena. I'm really glad you found your people. Um, yeah, so the whole idea of community and creating is that if you are creating with someone else, there's actually an emotional bond created with that person. Think about if you have ever danced with someone, even if it's at in a social setting, right? Danced with a partner or sung with a group of people, singing happy birthday. Your brain actually has a reaction to what you're doing. And so you're creating those bonds and you're creating those relationships subconsciously. So the more you create with other people, the more open you are to creating with other people. And Francesca, I think that what you said before is bring a buddy, bring a friend. Someone who you can trust is one of the most important people to be there while you're exploring this different creativity, because this is my friend who's not going to judge me, who loves me no matter what. We might go do something really silly together, or we might both go find something we're now newly passionate about.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that. I was thinking too like I'm thinking like the peer connection of like making friends, and we know that connection is suicide prevention, having that network, but I love what you said too, Elena, that like the adults also there can become these, we're trying to increase our network of trusted adults that we can go to. So the adults that could be leading the class or facilitating the class can also be that network of support. So I love that idea. This is a way to really strengthen the bonds and connections that you have out there. So I think my last question, Kristin, I'm thinking just as somebody who might be listening, thinking of like a common issue like anxiety. Could you walk us through, like, I know it's very hard to be specific because everybody's treatment would be different, but specifically with something anxiety, like a lot of people could relate to, how
Mhm.
could a particular type of session sort of help them cope with that emotion?
Sure. So when we're talking about prevention, it's all about being prepared. And so if something happens and we don't know how to handle it because it's never happened before, that's an entirely different issue. But if someone comes in and says, hey, these are the things that make me anxious, or this is the type of situation that I typically experience this feeling, that's when we can really start building some of those coping tools. And so building that self-awareness of, okay, is this the setting that you typically get anxious in? Or are these the people that you typically get anxious around? Or is this the activity that you're doing when you start to get anxious? And I'm building kind of what I call a coping skills box or a coping skills toolkit, is how other people say it. And
Yeah.
say, if I know I'm walking into a certain setting and I feel negatively or feel anxious about that setting, how can I emotionally prepare myself to walk into that setting feeling more successful? And so if that's a playlist or if that's a hummed mantra, because humming, I'm gonna get nerdy for a second, humming activates the polyvagal nerve, which helps to calm your body down. If it's a hummed mantra that you do in your car or in private before you walk into a setting, that can be very effective. And it's all about catering the preparation for what that person needs so that they can walk out of that setting and say, either this worked, awesome, I'm going to use it again, or I tried and it didn't work. So this is how we can tweak it.
I love that. Like, I feel like I'm all about trying to, like, right, build that toolkit so
Mhm.
that when I'm having, like, I'm somebody who struggles with my anxiety. So, what can I do to, like, be my own therapist when I don't have access to my therapist to help me get through
Mhm.
these tough moments? So, I love that through expressive art, you could really find these things like a playlist. Like, everybody is always, I feel like, listening to music. So,
Mhm.
being intentional about that and adding that into your life could just help so much when those overwhelming feelings are coming over you.
It's also about noticing when you're feeling calm and what's contributing to that, and be able to say, I am in a really self-regulated state right now. What are the things that are adding to this? And just building that self-awareness before the issue arises.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
great. And I love, Alena, what you said earlier, like like when you dance, you feel this immediate, like, what would you call it? Like relief or like a release kind of?
Yeah, I feel like whenever I'm on stage, I don't really like I'll get off stage and I don't actually remember what exactly happened on stage, but I just know that I was so like light. That's really how I can describe it. Like I feel so light and like yeah, relief.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's something that everybody can relate to wanting to feel and experience.
Mhm.
So it's definitely worthwhile to find that for you. I'm going to ask Kristin about how we would get in touch with the team. But before we do that, is there anything else, Alena, that you wanted to add that we didn't cover yet?
Um, I would just say there's no set path to
Mhm.
dancing. Like you can take it in whatever way feels right. And I feel like even if you are part of a studio like mine where everything's really choreographed and you're working really hard and practicing, there's still those moments like at practice or even in a dance where you can experiment with your face and with your body to just kind of tell any story that you want to tell. You can really say anything without actually saying it through dance.
That's amazing. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Maybe this is a call for me to be less self-conscious and try dancing too. And then Kristen, I think it's so amazing that Lancaster Behavioral Health Hospital has this expressive arts team. Could you
Mhm.
tell us like a little bit more about if someone's interested in exploring this avenue or learning more about the services you provide, how they could get in touch with you or get connected?
Sure, absolutely. So, we, first of all, we are an anomaly. We are one of the largest expressive arts teams that I've ever worked with, and for. And so it's really it's a really amazing thing to have this many expressive arts therapists here to collaborate. And we're all willing to speak with you if you're interested in a career in expressive arts or learning about how it can help benefit you in your daily life. And how you can do that is I have a personal email at the hospital. It's Kristin Ransom, Kristin Ransom, at lbhh.org. If that doesn't go through, you can reach out to Francesca. She can connect us as well. Because I understand Kristin is a very challenging name to spell correctly sometimes. But I'd be happy to talk with anybody more. We also have had interns and practicum students and things like that in the past. And I know that being in the setting is sometimes really helpful to figure out if inpatient mental health is really a good setting for you to work in as well, to experience. We're doing a little bit more, just like this podcast, we're doing a little bit more social outreach and things like that. And so if there's anything that LBHH is offering through expressive arts therapy, I will definitely send it over to Francesca so she can get it out to everybody that would be interested in knowing.
That's really great. I think that's a wonderful thing too, because how many of our students are interested in mental health and probably have this arts interest, and like you said, in your journey might not equate that like music therapy or something is a potential thing that they could study in school. So I love that. And definitely we hope to continue. Lancaster Behavioral Health Hospital has been a great partner to Aevidum, and we hope to be able to continue this connection. So maybe we'll get to see Kristin again sometime. And Alena, you've been wonderful as well, sharing your story and your experiences. I appreciate everything you guys do to have people's backs and especially our listeners' backs. So thank you both.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and it's nice to meet you, Alena.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Aevidum Podcast. A special thank you to our guests for sharing their insights on the healing power of artistic expression. Aevidum would especially like to thank Lancaster Behavioral Health Hospital, whose dedicated team provides comprehensive care and unique expressive arts therapies for those seeking healing and hope. You can visit their website at lancasterbehavioral.org. If you or someone you know is struggling, please remember that you're not alone. You can call or text 988 anytime to connect with the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline for immediate support. And please don't forget to stay connected with us. You can follow Aevidum on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Aevidum. That's AEVIDUM. To learn more about how we're spreading the I've Got Your Back message and to join our movement. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, we've got your back.